a miscellaneous giggle at the start of the Great Northern Sexcast calling. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Boy, it was quite the shuffle, but Dr. Markie is in the house. How are you?
I'm great. I'm freezing though.
Well, minus whatever that. I didn't even look. I saw that it was minus, and I just went. Do I really want to see the other number? I mean, it's Minnesota. We're used to it, but the first week is always like jarring, and I don't care whether you've lived here 1 year or whether you've lived here 50 years. It's always jarring.
Right. Well, it's enough to make me cold, and I'm from Alaska, so it takes the cake. It's freezing here. It's definitely not Las Vegas.
Yeah, so let's backtrack for people, because, boy, since we moved from network to self-production, we really did, for some reason, did you tell her about this? Tell her what happened to our audience.
What happened?
Well, we now, it's actually growing at a faster pace.
Yay!
I mean, we have to rebuild. I mean, obviously all the counts are on the other network, but it's going out now on not only Spreaker, not only iHeartRadio, iTunes took me a while to figure that out because I'm sort of figuring out the whole Spreaker system, but it's also going out on YouTube.
Wow.
And God, what was something else with an S?
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud.
Yeah. Nice.
And YouTube is actually where we're getting a lot of listens. And then I Googled, and I'm coming up in all these different languages. So people are stealing the podcast all over.
Well, yay.
You can see it out there if you Google it. You can see it in Cyrillic.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
Well, with
somebody translated that.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll change, and they won't be able to steal it.
Oh my God, are we colluding with the Russians?
I don't know.
I don't know what that means.
Well, I am wearing my Sarah Palin hat.
Yeah. You are. It's a little scary. So Dr. Markie, for those of you who have been with us before, you've probably heard her. She's been on. Really, you came on the first time January 3rd of this year, and the reason I remember that date is because your colleague got sick.
Dr. Ian Toffee. Yes,
yeah.
Alex Ian Toffee.
And I still have not met him.
Oh, yeah.
He must be a good guy. Anyway, he said, I'm going to send you Dr. Markie Twist. And I remember talking to him on the phone, and the man, barely any sound came out. So that's why I remember it was the January 3rd show. And you've been on many times this year. It feels like longer, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it does.
Because this is we had our 3rd year anniversary last week.
Congratulations!
But it feels like you've been in the bullpen longer.
Well, that's the one thing. It's just like I was looking back because when I was moving from one site to another, I was downloading, uploading shows, doing this, and listening to snippets to make sure that it all worked out, and I'm like, oh, that was fun. Oh God, I forgot that. So I was having my little memory lane trip as I was doing all this, and I was just cracking myself up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's sort of egotistical. I'm cracking myself up. And then I'm like, the hell with it. I did it. It was fun, and I'm going to embrace it.
Well, it is funny, like, about if you do shows like this, which I've been doing this for like 20 years, stuff like this, but it's like you don't usually make a habit of listening to yourself because you were there when it happened, right?
Yeah. Right.
But it is weird when you find yourself in a scenario like that where you have to go through tape or you're doing something. And it's like, it is weird to go back and it's like, oh, I remember that happened. It is a weird, it's different.
Yeah, when you're a writer, you don't go back and read yourself either.
No,
so,
unless you want to fight with the editor about something. Which,
possibly.
Trust me. So, Dr. Markie, just set yourself up for those. Tell our new people your background.
Sure, absolutely. Well, it's always wonderful to be at the Great Northern Sexcast. I agree. I think I don't even know, maybe 5 or 6 times now, and it's always fun to see both of you, and I like the new digs. So I teach in the University of Wisconsin system. I'm the Graduate Certificate in Sex Therapy Program Coordinator at the UW Stout over in Menominee, Wisconsin, which isn't any warmer today. In fact, I think it might be colder, actually. It was probably about -15 over in Wisconsin. But then this year I'm actually based out of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, primarily out of the School of Medicine in the family therapy program over there. And then I'm a licensed family therapist and mental health counselor, a certified sexuality educator. I do Tantra workshops all over the world. I go do talks. And this is probably one of my favorite podcasts.
Oh, thank you. Well, so you're like on loan to UNLV, right?
Yes, I'm on loan. It's a loaner for
academia is so interesting.
Where my
weird.
Where my sister met her husband.
Really?
Yes.
In Las Vegas or at UNLV?
UNLV.
Wow.
Mhm.
That nobody meets at UNLV.
They met at UNLV.
I do.
At some sort of cruise. Let's see, they were just saying the other day there was
In a desert.
a friend. There was. they have a hotel and restaurant
Yes,
hospitality
it's one of the
degrees.
best in the world. Yep.
And there was some sort of class, I think, on cruises, and
Yep.
and my brother-in-law didn't get in, and then or just like, maybe I should take this class, and the friend's like, oh, I'm taking it too,
Yeah.
and that's the class my sister was in.
That's so cool.
And so now they've been married like
That's
22
awesome.
years and have 4 kids.
Well, I love UNLV. It's a really cool school. It's now the most ethnically and racially diverse campus in the country, which is amazing. Most people don't realize that.
I had no idea.
Yeah, and Las
Wouldn't have guessed
Vegas is the second most diverse city for like interracial relationships. So at our center there, we see lots of people from all over the world, lots of different kinds of couples, because there's a therapy center that we work out of there too. So yeah, I'm on loan. Academia is weird though. You're right.
It is.
Like it's kind of like being traded.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like being in sports. And I think actually if they sold college that way, like here's your team, go be on it. And then you
Fantasy
get traded
college
to this. Then
professors?
maybe Then
Kind
maybe
of are, actually.
Exactly. Maybe we'd have more teachers. I don't know, or we pay them better.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I wish it was like that because that's about how it feels. So we'll see if Wisconsin retains me, or if UNLV. We'll see. It's going to be like a fight. I guess.
No kidding.
I know. It's kind of exciting.
That is kind of cool.
It's warmer there.
Yeah,
They win on that at least.
You know, I have to ask you, were you in town when the horrible shooting massacre occurred?
Yeah, so this was really awful, I'm sure, as you can imagine. My child spends half their time in Las Vegas and half their time here, so I'm kind of back and forth between institutes and then back and forth with my kid. And we were in town when it happened, but we were actually flying out. So we were at the airport right as that stuff was starting to come down, and we were starting to get the reports, and they let us fly out. But pretty much right after our plane, it got grounded.
Yeah,
Everybody was grounded for a day or two. It's awful. Of course, at our therapy clinic there, we're still seeing our clients still are dealing with the repercussions of that shooting and the tragedy, and the therapists, of course, the therapy interns some of them were there because they're young college students, and and they've been real troopers, just helping clients and still taking care of their own self-care.
Yeah, I was about to say, is there therapy for the therapist after
Yeah.
something like that? Or
Yeah.
like group discussion?
Yeah, there is, and we've done lots of trainings too, just for the providers. A lot of my friends out there are nurses, and they were nurses at the hospital that saw a lot of the victims, and so we've done a lot of trainings for the nurses too, and just offered support, and it's been rough. I would say that's been the very bad part about being out there. But at the same time, I'm happy that I've been able to be a part of helping people in such a horrible time. So
Yeah, I have a friend who was a ER physician, but he was about 30 miles out, so I'm sure they got folks.
Oh,
but
sure, they
Oh,
sure
they
did.
called
Las
them
Vegas
in.
isn't that big.
Yeah. But he spent an enormous amount of time. He didn't say anything about what he was going through. He just spent like a week posting references for here's where you can get help, where you can do that. So even in social media, everyone I could see was just like, okay, here's what you need to do. Here's going through there, and that's what honestly, that's what the majority of humans do. I mean, obviously some folks do it, but we do, And I like, and then like I said, getting around to talking again when you're done.
It was really, it's been a really hard semester, but like I said, it's been nice to be helpful towards people in such a difficult time. And people don't realize Vegas is really a small, big city. I mean, it's smaller than the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. We don't have as many people, and
it is a tight community. I mean,
it's
got
tight.
the Strip, but there's
the Strip
everything.
is-
But that's just
that's like saying
the
that the
thing.
Mall of America
Okay,
is all
small
of Minneapolis.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there's people that live there, so they can do stuff.
Yeah, they do. It's a really tight community. So
my sister and her, they were out there for like 4 years while they were going to school and do stuff like that.
And that's a long time to live in Vegas.
Their father, and their father-in-law lives out there now.
Yeah.
So,
But Vegas is really recovering. I mean, I think the the word that they're using, Vegas Strong, that hashtag is really, it's apt. It's a strong place. I mean, they made it through the recession. They've made it through the mob. They've made it through all the other things that Vegas has gone through. They will make it through this too. So.
Well, that's good to hear. So let's just start out. I mean, you've been writing like a fiend.
Yeah.
I mean, if I do say, for somebody who is also a professional writer.
Yeah.
Let's talk about all of this. I'd love for you to kind of go through. I want you to lead on this. I mean,
cool.
So let's start with the first one about the rise of the Digisexual. Like, take it away.
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to freak out Megan?
Oh God! Yes. Oh, for sure. I wish we should have made her come in here. Just
Is she uncomfortable with technology?
The robot. Yeah, she's like, robots are going to take over the world. That's
how my kid feels. Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people are technophobic and they're like robot phobic.
Oh, she likes technology. She just doesn't want it to take over the world, and she doesn't want to fuck it.
Yeah, well. There'll be plenty of other people who do.
We had a story just before you get going.
Yeah.
So I don't interrupt you.
No worries.
Last week about millennials, 25% said that they would have a relationship with a sex robot.
That doesn't surprise me.
But then later in the this whole survey was 51% of them were afraid robots were going to take their jobs. And I sat and looked at Colleen and I'm like, then maybe they shouldn't fuck them.
Right.
Just saying.
Right.
I don't know. So I would
or
love
maybe
to
sex work is really what this should be about, right?
Maybe.
If they're worried about jobs. Robots could just do that. Well, yeah, so this is interesting. My colleague, Dr. Neil MacArthur, who's based out of the University of Manitoba, and I wrote a paper for the Journal of Sexual and Relationship Therapy. And honestly, I do write pop culture stuff, but usually I'm writing academic stuff, which is dry and boring, and nobody ever reads it. And except other academics, who I guess I just implied are dry and boring. But anyway,
there's writing for stuff like that.
Yeah, you're just not writing for pop culture. But what happened was the moment this academic article came out, the Telegraph, based out of the UK, just freaked out and wrote this article about how sex robots are going to, people are going to be in love with sex robots and only want to be with sex robots, and it's going to be this huge problem for relationships. And basically, it wasn't really incredibly supportive, but it wasn't as bad as, say, Breitbart's article on our piece, which basically thinks that Neil and I are demons sent from hell for writing about sex with robots. But what we basically were saying was, hey, look, there's two waves, and we talked about it once on the show, I think, but not in as much detail. But basically our idea was there's two waves of digisexuality. The first wave we're already in, which is stuff like, I'm sure the shop sells things like this, like remote distance type vibrating devices.
Yeah, with apps, and someone can wear it, you can run it there. And just the fact that there's all of these extra, it's not just on and off, and low speed and high speed anymore. There's a lot of different things you can do.
You can make like a warming sensation. You can, there's all sorts of things that we can do already at a small distance with our technology. Of course, people have been using online pornography since, online started in 1996. People use their phones to sext each other. They use messaging. They use webcams to have sex. So we're already in what we're calling the first wave of digisexuality. People are already having sex pretty much with humans via distance through technology. And so that's the first wave. But what we're proposing is, as we enter into the second wave of digisexuality with virtual reality sex, where it's so immersive that you no longer need a human companion of any sort at a distance, where people are having sex with sex dolls, and as sex dolls turn into sex robots and become more sophisticated, we are proposing that people are going to have their primary erotic attraction not to be with humans, but to be with technology, to be with these various kinds of technology. And that'll be their sexual identity. Much like someone will say nowadays, my sexual identity is being gay, or my sexual identity is being lesbian or bisexual or kinky. We think that people will start saying my sexual identity is being a digisexual, and I want to have relationships with robots, and that's what I want. And people are freaking out. And hey, look, I get it. Like, we don't know. There's a lot to freak out over. But on the other hand, think of some of the advantages to people having relationships with technology? What about people who are disabled, who haven't been able to have relationships with humans in ways that are sexually satisfying for them, or in ways that feel loving? What about people who, we're lucky, we're good-looking people. What about people who have not been as attractive?
They don't hit that society's norms at the
Absolutely.
and they're having a difficult time.
Yep. What about people who are shut-ins because they have like agoraphobia or something of that nature? There's some real advantages to people being able to have relationships and connection with technology. And all we were saying was, there's going to be pros and cons, but we shouldn't stigmatize. We shouldn't make people feel bad about this, because it's kind of a natural progression. Look, cars are already driving themselves. It's just a matter of time.
You don't have to worry about consent. It's a machine.
Right, and STIs are not going to be an issue, and pregnancy is not going to be an issue. And
no, you'll get something that, like the sexual version of Legionnaire's disease, though, if you don't clean it right.
That's true.
Something will happen.
You have to clean already. You have to clean your sex toys. That's for sure. For sure.
I can see something like that. It's just another tool. Folks are already. But I can see folks being addicted to just like anything else because it's a thing. They've designed video games to be addictive.
Yeah.
That's out there. There's no, they prove that, people, can't put their phones on.
Sure.
You're going to get it,
Is it addiction?
But then again, but I'm not gonna say that just because someone gets addicted to it and it helps other people that you have to make it go away.
Exactly. Well, it's not going to go away.
Yeah.
The adult industry has perpetuated our technology faster along than almost any part of technology. So I don't think it will go away, and we can either be resistant to that, or we can start from a place of trying to understand and be nurturing and supportive and help people if it does become a problem, just like I help people who have relationships with humans that go badly. So I really don't think it's any... I guess the bottom line is I don't think it's anything to freak out over. We have a lot of question marks, but everybody just needs to calm down. It's okay. People freaked out over TV, too.
People freaked out over the invention of the camera.
People freaked out over vibrators.
Yeah.
Come on, relax.
The orgasmatron is here.
Exactly. I want to be Barbarella when I grow up.
I remember watching that. I was older when I watched it, and so I was able to understand the context of it, what was going on, and I was able to look up the director and write stuff like that. And I still watched it and went, how did they film this without just cracking up every 2 seconds?
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's absurd, but they managed to play it. It's why. Oh, I should put that on the list to watch again.
Totally. And just to be clear, I actually don't have any interest really in technology, except honestly for professional reasons. Even today, I don't have kind of separation anxiety from my phone, or I don't really care about video games. I guess I did when I was 10, and it was, Mario Brothers. But so I'm not interested in sex with robots, quite honestly. But I know Digisexuals I know people who are like, my fantasy, that are like, around our ages, my fantasy was always, even from the time I was little, to have sex with robots. I know people who already have fantasized about that from the time they were little.
Yeah. I don't use Siri or have Alexa or other stuff in my house. I'm like, it's just another thing. My oven turned on by itself a couple weeks ago, heated up, locked up. I do not need other things happening. It's going through there. But it's fine, but I know that a lot of folks like that.
That's right.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yep.
If they like to be able to sit on their sofa and say, turn the thermostat up 2 degrees, what is different than having,
Then hey, go down on me.
Yeah.
I don't know if temperamentally speaking I'm there yet, because I got in a fight with Siri.
Yeah.
I was telling her
to fight with her.
I told her to call somebody who trusts me. Multiple times a week, texting, whatever. 3 times in a row, she's like, I'm sorry, you have no number available. And I finally was so pissed. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yep.
And you know what that bitch said to me?
What did she say?
Kelly, your language.
You should be able to have
you should be able to cuss at Siri.
You should be a Siri. Yeah, there should be... there's like controls on when you to do it, like on my emails and stuff like that. I have to put... I get a lot of spam, a lot of stuff through, because I have to put the lowest setting on just to get my work emails.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. See?
So and I have to search the spam files all the time because
Exactly.
I mean, we send out a newsletter, which I think is functioning again.
Oh, cool.
Six months on our website.
Yeah.
PayPal changes something, and then my and then I've got a lovely designer, but they had a job and then they didn't have a job, and then they had to move in with folks that they didn't have a high speed internet where they were, and so it just took longer, and and honestly, no matter what I do, there's going to be issues with a website.
Yeah.
So I can pay a reasonable amount and have issues, or I can pay extraordinary amounts and have issues. So I'm not going out of the way, and so it's up, and there's still a few things that we're tweaking and stuff like that. So the newsletter, but I send myself a newsletter from my email, and it goes to the spam file.
Oh, I
it's
know,
my
see.
own
Well,
because it has the word fantasy gifts in it.
And in this context, if technology pisses us off now, imagine what it'll be like. Like, you're in a hurry to get to work, you just want to have a quickie, you get your robot, you just want to get off, and you haven't done, like, the new update.
God.
I can just picture how frustrating that's going to be. Like, now I got to wait for this download before I can
do the
do
eyes
this.
spin? Do you see a little circly thing in
Right?
the
I mean,
Or you see two apples in their eyeballs.
gonna
little
be- I
know that's
blue-
it's going to
blue
be
screen.
so annoying.
No. No, here's the other. No, you know what? That's okay. That would suck.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the haywire glitch?
Oh,
I
right.
mean, when you've got tender parts involved here, this is concerning.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Yeah. There's going to be concerns. I mean,
The thing, and they'll probably come up with. I mean, we've got really good materials now. Think about what the exterior is going to be, because if they can make the software, better, they're going to be working on making the hardware better too. I mean,
totally.
some of the real sex dolls and stuff like that we've been looking at. I wish they would make them slightly more life size though. Does it creep you out how tiny some of these dolls are? Even the guys. Yeah. I know. I mean, in the U.S. I don't think any of the female dolls should be under. I mean, I'm short, but I'm going to say
I'm short as well.
I'm going to say that I don't think any of the female dolls should be like under 5'7", and I don't think any of the male dolls should be under 6, because when you do these things and they're inanimate, they look young, and it freaks me out.
Yeah, it's apparently, from what I understand, it's a matter of like shipping and handling.
Oh yeah, I know
it's cost.
I mean, our large dildos cost more than their little dildos because it's just materials,
right?
Plus size clothing. But,
–
but when you start making them smaller, you start.
Yeah.
It looks like teenagers and kids, and I go ew, and so that just turns
it doesn't
me.
do it
No,
for you.
no. I mean, the guy doll. The guy doll that we saw a couple weeks ago in one of our artists, it was like really small looking, and I'm like.
I think it's just incredible that people are choosing to marry, like, see their dolls already. That's happening in places. Or, like in Japan, where they're choosing to date an app instead of, real people. So, I mean, I think we already are here. I think we already are in a place where people
the app is better than the pillow. Of
course. Of course.
Well, from your highly educated standpoint, what do you foresee the issues that Digisexuals will need therapy for?
Well, I think that you're going to still have some of the same kind of problems that people have today, right? They're still going to have a hard time with connection with people outside of their technology.
Okay.
And they're still going to face, I would imagine they'll face stigma. I mean, the weddings that we hear about, or the marriages we hear about, for example, with sex dolls, I don't know how many of those people, like their family members, were at, right? I mean, are they supportive? Who knows? A good chunk of people in this country and in Canada are not comfortable with the idea of sex with robots. So, and a good example of this would be like Lars and the Real Girl. If you've never seen that movie, it's
snippets, but
really, really brilliant. I mean, it's him and his sex doll, and he acts like this is a real person, basically, and it makes everybody else very uncomfortable, and they think that he has mental health problems. So I think we're going to still see a lot of stigmatization and judgment, depending on how sophisticated, and this probably won't happen in our lifetime, but depending on how sophisticated the robots become, there can even be issues with, fights between the person and their technology, like actual disagreements. And one of the things that the ethicist, because my colleague who I wrote this article with is a philosopher and ethicist, not a therapist, one of the things that he thinks about is when they do get more sophisticated, we most likely will have questions of, are they sentient? Do they have the ability to give consent? If they have the ability to give consent, then do we teach them that? And if that's programmed in, now
can you rape a robot?
You start wondering about those kind of questions. So I think we will see those kinds of issues emerge. It's just going to take a while. Right now, I think it's mainly going to be stigma and us thinking that there's something wrong with this person, much like we've done with anybody else who has an identity, sexually speaking, that's kind of outside of the norm, right?
So in other words, it's about time for a Stepford Wives
Yes.
movie remake, but
but better than the last one.
But better than the last one.
Yeah,
Suddenly I was
exactly.
thinking about that.
And maybe we should make it Stepford husbands this time, and they could be those little
Stepford
tiny
Sp- yeah.
sex dolls of men.
But I remember watching that as a kid.
Yeah.
That's creepy because of course they had.
Yeah.
But we're getting to the point where they
We're
can
there.
almost make a doll.
We're very
that-
close.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
we're
like,
very
oh,
close. I mean, there's a whole brothel now that's nothing but sex dolls in Barcelona. It just opened last year.
Yep.
You know, I mean, there's definitely a market. Your store, I'm sure, as the dolls get more sophisticated and the cost comes down. Of course, we're still at a place where these are really expensive.
We have one or two dolls. I think it's $4,000. Whatever.
Right.
We've got it's in there, and it's small, and we've got them, and it's sort of in a box. It looks like a really large Barbie.
Yeah.
And then we get gift card, and we've sold one of them really fast, and the other one's down at the Burnsville store, so it's there right now.
Well,
and when you come on in,
come and get it.
Yeah, and when
Come
you
and get it,
and when you
Digisexuals.
and when you wander in, it startles me sometimes.
Yeah.
Just like Phyllis. Phyllis is our big mannequin with the boobs, and we have a spare one in the back because it's got a small crack in the hip, so we don't use that. We use that at events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I walk right past it, and other times I walk past it and I go and I'm startled by Phyllis because it's
That's so
pretty realistic because it's got a little muscle tone. It's got a face. It's not one of those faceless things.
Yeah.
It's just back in the warehouse. It sort of freaks me out.
We're here. Get ready. And then I've always often thought, like, how are you going to explain that, to your kids? How kids walk in on people. So, like, you've got the sex doll or the sex robot in the closet, or like you have it out. I mean, it's just going to be interesting. So, I think we'll have all sorts of potential issues. Therapists will still have jobs after the sex robots. Definitely.
Now, because we're a week off of our planning here, I can't remember. Yeah. Were you one of the authors? Were you involved in the saber-toothed tiger?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good, because this is a lot of stuff in there. There's a lot of acronyms. Mm-hmm. We've got SNS, we've got PNS, we've got ED and PE. So, Seth, I just want you to tell a story because this is really interesting too.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. So I write for Consumer Health, and that is pop culture. So that gets picked up and read by people apparently who are interested in health as consumers. And what I tell people often in therapy is, people come to me and they're anxious, and they're particularly anxious about their sexual activity, and especially, people with penises or male identifying people. And of course, when they get anxious, then they can't perform and they have a hard time getting an erection. So erectile dysfunction happens. And so I tell them, I say, you know what, there isn't anything, we have that function because at one time there were saber-toothed tigers. Mm-hmm. And at one time we had to be able to run away, and we had to have this fight or flight that took place, and you didn't need an erection when there was a saber-toothed tiger. You had to run away. And if you had an erection, that actually might be a hindrance, and you could fall down and get hurt, right? Break your penis or something. But instead I say to them, the same feelings that happens to you physiologically in your body is actually excitement. It's the same. Excitement and anxiety look exactly the same inside our body, and the only difference is breath. And so when you're anxious, right, you're doing a lot of that. Oh, this is going to sound really graphic. You're doing a lot of the right? Your breath is quick and hurried, which is an anxiety breath. Mm-hmm. When you're excited, your breath is actually deeper. You're taking a deeper breath, right? Just like you're almost having an orgasm, right? So I tell them, I'm like, listen, all you got to do is just think of this as excitement, not anxiety. It's the same thing in your body, and then your penis will respond, or you'll become more lubricated. Granted, you might also need medications, but I always tell people they have to rule out medical stuff first. But it's the breath. So it's a lot of working on breath. And so when I wrote this piece, it was just taking what I tell clients all the time, which there isn't any more saber-toothed tigers. So you don't need to respond like sex is a saber-toothed tiger. It's actually something to embrace and enjoy and be excited about instead of feeling anxious about. So that's that piece. And yeah, there is a lot of acronyms.
Yeah.
ED, erectile dysfunction, performance anxiety, PE. Yeah. It's a lot of fun, right?
It's actually a really good article. And I just want, I mean, it's hard to encapsulate here, but we will post all of these actually so that you can read these on the Great Northern Sex Cast Facebook page. Because they're really, really interesting. But I just wanted you to kind of break that down for the audience, because this stuff, when you're out for a walk or doing whatever you do and you listen to a podcast, is like, oh my God, I never thought about sex and a saber-toothed tiger. Although there's probably people that would have sex with one if it would hold still. But yeah.
Especially if it could be shaped like or made into a robot.
See? That would be good.
You know, that could really change the plushy and furry movement.
Oh, yeah.
God.
Think about the robots,
I know.
The different things you could do, but the cleaning on, once again, that's,
I'm telling
see,
you.
the practicality I get of some of that stuff, though.
The cleaning.
The cleaning.
Yeah. Well,
I do. I get like all Midwestern mom on some of that stuff. So I look at it and go, but what about, and I'm like,
can you imagine?
One half of my brain
it's like having to clean a carpet.
Yeah.
Who wants to clean a carpet?
About stuff like that.
God.
We get samples and we get different things, and there's bling here and stuff like that. We
Yeah.
pick up a few things, but we look at them,
Yeah.
and we look at. I
know.
got the practical standpoint of some of the stuff. I go, that's really pretty lingerie, but how do you clean it? And I've said this before.
Once you start thinking about it, you can't kind of unthink about
No.
it. And much like your podcast, you're getting picked up and translated into these different languages around the world and such. Like this article that was in the Telegraph, then everybody everywhere just started, taking bits and pieces. I mean, like, my colleague and I got contacted by, apparently there is a liberal media in Russia, which I had no idea about, but the liberal news station and magazines contacted us and wanted to know stuff about digisexuality, and I was like, really, in Russia? But okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I agree. It's you're right. Cleaning is going to be, that could be like a whole business in and of itself.
Forget the Persian rug cleaning company.
Yeah,
it's
do you
gonna
need
be the
your furry robot doll
doll
cleaned? Yeah, I'm sure you do, because not everybody's going to want to do that work. Right?
My neighbor,
just think of the dry cleaning industry.
Yeah, my neighbor has the neighbor across the parking lot over here is a company that provides equipment and trucks and cleaning solution for carpet cleaning. And they could just
I'm telling you,
zero res.
Just go into the digisexuality business right now. Wait, you're kind of already in it, but we should make it more overt and just cover all of it.
That's probably one of the reasons.
Can you imagine getting a loan for that?
Yeah, we sell so many. 3 or 4 different types of toy cleaners because there's different things like you're going through there. I mean, obviously, hot water and soap is going to do a good job, but there's
not enough.
But you want a little bit more.
Yeah. Totally.
Oh my God, there could be like robot hygiene issues.
Oh, completely.
And and self-esteem due to chronic not being cleaned right, and then that causes. Oh my God, this.
I know it can go on forever. And what about like used robots? Do you sell them? Do they
God!
See,
how do you recycle? Yeah, how do you recycle?
How do you recycle? Do you recycle? Do you? I know, right? Yeah. And what about like, can it look like a real person? Can it look like you? Like, can you have a doll made of yourself, Kelly?
Does that mean I have to like?
Can it be a famous person, or is that like an infringement on copyright?
Oh, yeah. You have to start trademarking your image.
I know. We better start right now.
Yeah, because I went and bought a bunch of my, names and stuff like that. You just got to protect, different things going on. I pay for a lot of websites I don't even use because you got to, it's just like that.
I know. It's just never ending. See,
I suppose, I mean, because I'm pretty sure the company that owns the Elvis estate would not be thrilled about Elvis sex dolls.
See? Mm-hmm. I know.
But they could probably make a freaking fortune on Elvis sex dolls.
Oh.
Both versions.
And
Sexy,
I just
young,
had the worst thought in the world, of course. Mm-hmm. Our illustrious leader as a sex doll. That'd be...
Oh, they've already made a couple of them. They had Hillary, stuff like that. Yeah, they didn't. By the way, neither of them sold.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Okay, so this next term I generally associate with the car wash that I frequent. But talk about the touch-free orgasm.
Touch-free orgasm, right. So Susanna Weiss, I think is how you say her last name, writes for Bustle, and she contacts me pretty often just to kind of get ideas. And
I'm sure you're full of them.
yeah, and normally,
I should call you.
yeah, it's seriously, and normally, like, I'll look up some research for her and just, give her some research-based stuff, but I was in a really big hurry when she contacted me about this, and she said, let me just ask you this, Doc, do you know anybody, is it possible to have an orgasm without even being touched? And I said, I don't actually know the research on that, but I can definitely tell you that I've had clients, I know people who can do this. A lot of women, especially, since so much of a woman's orgasm is mental anyway, for some women, they can just be talked to, they can just think about sex, they can just have an erotic fantasy, they can have nocturnal, orgasms are really common. We mainly only hear about it in 13-year-old boys, but it definitely happens for women too, all the time. And actually, I think, from the women I've talked to who are pregnant especially, a lot of nocturnal orgasms happen while pregnant. And I think it probably has something to do with the huge hormone changes that are happening and so on and so forth. And so I told her, yeah, absolutely, that's totally possible. I'm not sure you could, like, train yourself, but maybe you could. And for men, I think this is a lot harder, though. Now, having said that, there is one video clip, it's about 3 minutes and 53 seconds to be exact, that I show my students in my large human sexuality class, where it's a hands-free ejaculation. So it's a guy just standing there and gets in a full erection in like 3 minutes and 32 seconds or 23 seconds and completely ejaculates without touching himself once at all. And so it must be possible. I've never known any guy in person, quite honestly.
What's the teaching moment there? I'm just curious. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
It's the same day that I also show Cythera, who's an adult film industry actress, doing a female ejaculation scene. So really, it's me trying to teach them about the physiology of orgasms and how what we think we know. Men can't have orgasms without being touched or so on and so forth, and women can't, ejaculate. It's to challenge those assumptions. So, and it does a good job because their faces are usually that O face the whole entire time, like, I had no idea that any of that was possible. And I'm like, yep, that's all possible.
There it is.
There it is. You just saw it. I can rewind it. We can watch it again.
No, because I see stuff and read a lot of stuff, and I don't even sometimes realize what I'm absorbing. So when I run across different things, and I realize that it is rare that I run across something that I just went, because I've been doing this for 20 plus years now, I see a lot of different things, and it's not it's obviously more on the retail side, but I have to learn a lot about the other side to go through there and stuff. And so when people come up with something, and I go, oh, okay. So I'm pretty sure I would, but when you're not doing that, when you're just coming out of the blue, I can imagine that it's gonna be a fun day.
Yeah. Oh, I love that day. I never, when I'm teaching. At this point, I don't even care about what's on the screen anymore. I'm just watching the students' reactions because they're priceless.
I bet.
And also, it's a generation that's grown up with all the online capability.
They've got all this visual.
But quite frankly, they still have not seen so many things. It's amazing. It's like they just don't. Well, they know what to look up, kind of like Pornhub. But then after that, they don't really have a sense of how much diversity is out there because actually Pornhub is a lot of kind of the same stuff over and over and over again in some ways. So, they get shocked. Here it is. Orgasms without touching oneself.
I like the fact that somebody under the age of 25 can actually be shocked by something.
I do too.
When you go through there, because it's not as though they're, so
I do too.
There's other stuff going on there because you think they've had that phone in their hands or the technology or the internet in front of their faces for 20 out of their 25 years now or whatever it is,
and they're still surprised by stuff.
So learning, learning how to search. That's what I'm noticing that they're sort of teaching my kid is more how to search for things versus memorizing to some extent.
Right.
And the tough part sometimes, and I realize, is figuring out which class you have to memorize and which class you have to learn how to search.
Yeah, it's true.
If you get that wrong, you struggle in class.
True. It's totally true.
That's awesome. Well, I have a question for you. So every once in a while, I can't resist just picking up on something that's been talked about on Reddit.
Yeah.
And there's a resounding
partner
two
loves Reddit.
quote
Yeah.
unquote kinky sex moves that women wish their partners would stop doing.
Oh,
Do
no.
either of you two have a guess as to what they are? I usually do this to Colleen, but you might be really fun to do.
It feels like a really fun game. Do you know what those
Name that sex
moves
move
are that women
in
wish
three,
people
in
would
three
stop
syllables.
doing? I don't know.
Biting and hair pulling.
Really?
Without total consent. Some women that like it, but there's a lot of women
Without consent. Sure.
Yeah, but there's a lot of guys that don't do the the full on, but just
Yeah.
even the smaller version. Women's like, yeah, no, not so much.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Slap on the ass?
Biting and hair pulling.
No, I'm saying, but
Yeah.
another one would be like a spank or a nibble or bite where you're not expecting it. I'm
Yeah.
just saying 12 stuff
So
like
that wasn't in this particular thread,
okay.
but I just wanted to see what
That's
Dr. Markie's reaction
interesting.
was.
Yeah, I'm sort of surprised by that on the one hand, except that anything without consent can feel bad, you
Yep.
know? So, I mean, if it's not consensual, but, in the tiny, because there's barely any research on anything related to kink, but the tiny bit of research shows that young people, like college-age people in the U.S., the thing they fantasize about pretty much almost more than anything else is biting. Being bitten and biting, other people.
Really?
And I actually blame it on the whole growing up with the Cullens and,
Oh.
the Twilight series.
Oh,
yeah,
funny.
I blame
Oh,
it
my
on
God.
that because that's kind of their generation, right? That's what they grew up reading and watching.
That is so
So-
funny.
But so that is interesting. But, I think it's about consent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's uncomfortable when people do things to you that you're not expecting and have no ability to say yes or no to.
Yeah, I just keep thinking I've had short hair for a long time, so the hair pulling just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Or usually, but I'm not even. Sometimes if you've got long hair, you're
Yeah.
like, you don't even know that it's
Right.
being done.
Yeah.
It's just getting in
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
makes a really good handle. I mean, if you got a good, if you got a good.
It does. It does.
So this was a new one to me, cushioning.
No, I have no idea what that is.
Really?
I have no
Colleen?
idea what that is, but there's as many different fetishes and practices out there as there are people in the world.
It's not.
Satipon?
No, it's not a fetish. It's the act of having a plan B backup. So you start dating somebody, and you've got other dating options
Yeah.
in case this one doesn't fly. And so there's 5 ways to
backup
tell if
plan?
you're being cushioned.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Okay, their phone's always on, and it's always buzzing or beeping. They never let you see who's messaging them, and they wouldn't give you their passcode. There's deleted message chains, thing like that. Hot and cold behavior. You might not hear from them because they're very busy. Well, they're very busy keeping up their backup plan.
Wow.
3, your gut says something's off, but you can't quite put your finger on it.
Well, isn't this called dating?
Well, yeah.
Which I was never good at, so probably why I was going through there.
Secretive when it comes to social media. And number 5 is they're less interested in being intimate with you. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, if you've had a discussion about being exclusive and this shit's going on,
Yeah, then
you
that's
got a
not fair.
problem. But if you haven't had a
Right.
discussion about
Yeah.
being exclusive, then this is called dating,
Yeah.
right? Am I,
Yeah.
Like I said,
Well,
I
and
was
also-
bad at dating, but I didn't really do it.
Yeah,
But
and I also the part on there about they won't let you have their password. Who
Asks for that.
is going to ask for a? I mean, I've been with my primary partner for like 2 years, and I can't imagine being like, I really need your password to your phone and your computer. I mean, why would I do that? And we're pretty exclusive, so I mean,
yeah,
I can't. Yeah, that's uncomfortable. I mean, the rest of those, I don't know. I mean, and isn't it just kind of rude to do that? Period.
yeah. I mean,
Like,
but
regardless of whether you're dating, like, if you're hanging out with your friend and they're spending the whole time on their phone, that's going to be rude. I mean, so I don't think that's nice behavior, whether you're with somebody
my guy's got my
exclusionary or not.
password because, well, honestly, when I'm driving down the road and there's like text and stuff
Yeah,
like
that makes
he's
perfect
answering
sense.
all the stuff, and he doesn't have a phone anyway.
I guess
He-
mine
he-
has
he's,
my password.
He's
too.
not a but
Wait
there's
a
nothing.
minute.
But
Maybe
I'm saying,
there's not
but
reciprocity
no,
there.
But nobody has because it's like this is a tool. My
Yeah.
phone I'm holding right here is a tool.
Yeah.
Much like like a hammer would be, or this or
Yeah.
that. There's no password to my hammer. But then again, there isn't anything on here that, and the same thing with, folks can get into my office, there's nothing anywhere that I have
for you,
for me.
But that's because no one's a cushion
Yeah.
for you. So I guess, I don't know, it's old wine, new bottle, right? We've all heard that. It's just a new way of saying it's a label for the
It's a label for the sake of an article, and I think Colleen just completely nailed it like you often do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, there was a word there was a term last week or the week before where I'm like, they've named everything.
Yeah, what was that?
They have named everything.
It's laughing so
like,
hard.
it's like new math. You have different vocabulary for that.
Yeah.
Totally.
And now it's this century, and you have to have different words for...
Yeah.
And if we
it has to be branded.
We
It can't
live
just
long
be
enough,
named.
we'll hear another name.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same thing. Well, the same thing happened, this hookup culture. Guess what? They used to just be called one-night stands. It's not any different. You're not doing anything different.
I remember looking at this thing, and I'm like,
come on.
Yeah.
It's not on the increase either, despite that judgmental point of view. It's just insane.
I giggled over that, and I went,
yeah. You're the first people that have ever messed around with people you barely know.
no.
So funny.
or friends with benefits.
Mm-hmm.
That's...
You're the first people that have ever had sex with a friend.
Oh my God.
I look at that stuff and I go, that's insane.
You're a cushion. You're the first person who's ever been a backup plan.
I know. Thank you for pointing out
So
the absurdity.
I know.
Honorable mention this week goes to Beauty Bakery, which has a bunch of lipstick, most notably Nutella flavored, that is vegan and toxin-free and waterproof. And they have, in addition to Nutella, Nudity, Skinny Dip, Birthday Suit, and Bake It Naked. And they are kind of expensive. It's a box set. There's for $60. I guess that's not too bad.
That
But
sounds
the
awesome.
Nutella lipstick,
Maybe
vegan.
if it actually tastes good, because because you can see how much makeup is on my face. I've never, with my sense of smell, I've never liked putting it on my face. But so this is like grown-up lip smackers.
Pretty much.
Basically.
You guys all remember?
I'm guessing this is
I
gonna
remember
be-
that from the 70s. Those big. I see a little.
Bonnie Bell.
Bonnie Bell lip smackers. I remember the little. They have little tiny ones now, and a couple years ago they came up with like big ones again. And everyone had to have the watermelon.
Watermelon.
At my school, it was
Grown-up
other
lip
schools.
smackers.
Yeah, you got to have
See,
the watermelon.
old wine, new bottle.
See?
Same thing. Same
Nutella.
thing. I should run out and get that, though, because I know somebody who's vegan, and they probably really appreciate those. So.
Pretty cool. We haven't had a good flasher story, and I cannot recall.
I didn't know you were
I
looking
love,
for one.
I'm sorry for the victims, but I can't help but being completely cracked up by the people that run up and, it's just the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because
it's funny on the one hand, isn't
It
it?
is.
The thing is, it depends who you're going through. We talked about this. But I've been flashed.
Have you really?
I don't get that uncomfortable.
Yeah,
by it.
and
it's
I
hysterical.
and I just
Yeah.
look at it, and usually it's like, are you serious? And they just then they get embarrassed because I'm not shocked by it. But so they're just waiting for the person who is shocked by it to get it. It's like, it's not going to be me.
Right.
And that was long before I did any of this.
Was there a good flasher story then?
Yes.
Oh,
A 40-year-old Romanian national was arrested in the UK for flashing. But it's the flashing itself. Okay, I always get a giggle because I'm sophomoric. But what's even funnier is why he was arrested. It's because the victim's description was that she said he looked like Moe from The Simpsons. So the barkeep, Moe Slazak, or I can never pronounce it right.
I can't either.
And they caught him based on that. Like, you can't make that up. That is funny stuff right there.
Oh my God.
That is
How do you
amazing.
draw that? That had to be hilarious. But then again, I'm not a Simpsons watcher, but it would take me about. But most
You'd still recognize.
But I still
Mo.
recognize
Yeah,
Mo.
of course.
You
It's
know
been
what I mean?
around for
So
35 years or
so
something
easy
now.
easy to figure it out.
That is so funny.
I would think though, if you were going to be a flasher, you should not look like a famous character.
You don't want to be identifiable.
You need to be definitely much more generic.
I guess you're hoping that people aren't paying attention to your face.
Well, there is that.
So, why not put the underwear that's not on your junk on your head?
That's a good idea.
You know, peek out the leg holes.
That's a good idea. I feel like you should coach people
right?
that want to do
Maybe
flashy.
I could be a flash coach.
Hey, whole new meaning to flash dance. Whole new meaning.
Oh,
I love it. I love it. You can be a flasher choreographer.
If you recognize the face, it was a really...
Colleen,
are you okay?
So
we're off the rails here.
No. I'm having my own fantasy
So
over
I'm
here.
just thinking about the lead guy in the. I was picturing like the whole water scene and this and that.
Oh.
And then the creepy guys and the bad thing. And I must have watched that movie like a dozen times years ago. You know, I was going through there.
Oh yeah, it was a great movie. Yeah,
and it still gets parodied, which is a hoot.
Yeah,
I'm just like through there.
It's probably not as good as I remember it being, but I was like 13. So.
Oh, but you know what still is cheesy?
What?
Roadhouse.
Oh, jeez.
Is it?
I couldn't even do it the first time.
I've never seen it.
It
I
is.
couldn't either.
But you gotta watch. Turn the sound off and watch it with with just
subtitles.
Subtitles, and it's just funny because you can still hear Sam Elliott's voice.
Oh my god!
Because you don't. Yeah, it does.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the part. It's Sam Elliott. That man does not stop being sexy.
No,
he's like 80 now or something.
Although
like
he's
that.
got this show on Netflix. I can't remember what
Ranch.
it's called. Yeah, we had it recommended. We tried to watch it. We lasted 2 seconds because of the laugh track.
Oh,
it's got a laugh track on it,
yeah.
and I'm like, never mind, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
they did a combination of swearing plus laugh track plus. Yeah, I was reading about. I watched through it, but like I said, I was watching it with subtitles.
That's too bad. Oh,
yeah.
So I watch almost everything with subtitles now because it gets annoying, and then I don't have to listen to the commercial. I mean, even when I'm watching like something off a broadcast or something like that, I don't have to listen to it. I can watch it.
Interesting.
Because I'm watching it anyway. And then I know people's voices, and I don't have to have all the extraneous shit, and half the time I can't hear what they're saying anyway. Maybe I'm losing my hearing.
No, you turned on the mute button. It's okay.
Just
saying.
Oh, I did that the other day on my phone. I'm like, what did I hit? I'm talking to my mom. I'm like, hey, this time it was me. I hit something on the phone that she wasn't supposed to. My mom's got a new iPhone. It's been a learning experience.
Oh, yeah. I got my sister when she retired and had to, switch to her own personal phone. We got her into a oh, good God. That was exhausting, and it was like a 3-week deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm finally over being the, ARP IT person now. Thank God. So funny mention, Ashley Madison, we've all heard about that. Yeah. They are suing.
They're still in business?
Yeah.
They didn't go out. They survived it?
They're around.
Yeah. Surprisingly. I thought they'd get their asses sued off of them. But there's this company called Casual X, which describes itself as Tinder for casual sex, which isn't that Tinder, right?
Isn't that the point?
It's anonymous.
Thank you. Thank you, academic, for the word I couldn't spit out. But they're using a slogan, "Life is boring, desire a fling?" ? And Ashley Madison says it's too similar to its own line, "Life is short, have an affair."
Yeah, I can understand that, but really, aren't they all selling sort of the same thing? I mean,
it's like saying,
where does copyright
go to this restaurant? It's delicious. You get to say things are delicious in a lot of different places.
Yeah, exactly. Oh
I
my
don't
goodness.
know. I don't know.
It's funny
But there's something more casual than.
Well, it's funny because like Ashley Madison's actually saying that someone's behaving
badly,
immorally. I know. I'm like the irony. Like, oh, hey, you're cheating by using that. Okay. Wow. Yeah. If anyone would know, huh?
Right. I love that. Oh God. Okay, this cracks me up only because we just talked about a pop star a couple weeks ago that uses a Justin Bieber poster where Justin Bieber is wearing nothing but pancakes to allow him to last longer during sex. He looks at that and then he's like, okay.
I still don't know why Justin Bieber's wearing pancakes, but that's okay.
We never have gotten to the bottom of that one. It's an ongoing controversy.
I had a pancake on my head from a local artist. I know why there's a pancake on my head. local artist painted it, but I don't know
So
why
Why
Justin has
yeah,
pancakes.
we're gonna have to dig deeper,
Yeah.
so to speak. But there are
Me
Bieber sex dolls, and Colleen, they are 5'2".
We had a just in Beaver doll for a while, and it just
You did?
Oh yeah, it was a cheap ass doll and stuff like that.
Oh, I'm gonna have to fight thinking less of you.
I don't think we still have them. I mean, you know, they did.
Did people get
And there
like,
was
buy them?
yeah, and there was like Katy Pervy and
Instead of Katy Perry. Yeah, see?
Yeah.
It's already...
Pipe Dream makes most of these novelty things.
Wow.
They're usually they're like under $40, under $30. I mean, really, they're absurd.
They're really kind of cheap.
They're the
doll.
vinyl ones with the rough edges and the printed on faces. It is hilarious.
That's what you get when you're Justin Bieber and Katy Perry, I guess. You get like the cheap sex dolls made after you in your likeness. That's really...
They came in and I'm like, we actually
That's
carry
telling.
these? I'm like, they're grown ups now.
You know,
I was like,
he's, in my opinion, he's just too big of an idiot to even objectify. Like, I just have such a hard time with so many of his idiotic.
He needs better handlers.
stunts.
I mean, you become popular when you're 13 or 14 years old.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, even people that have common sense can get screwed up by what's been thrown at them.
Yeah.
But he obviously did not have the right. The
know.
right sort of handlers.
It's actually a sad story, but, you know.
But it's still sort of fun to make fun because now he's
He
in
is
his
fun to
early
make fun.
20s
I
and he
know.
should be able to turn around and go, I need better help.
Yeah.
You know, I need better employees.
I think you have to recognize it
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
That's like
Well,
the first
anybody
stage,
that
right?
writes in the guest book at the Anne Frank Museum that if she were here, she would have been a believer, just clearly is not in
God.
touch. Anne Frank.
I know.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, lack of education because I don't think
Yeah.
obviously didn't have any post-secondary education or any thought
Oh,
processes
I don't think
or stuff
so.
like that.
I mean,
But
and
probably
probably
as
he
a
barely
GED.
had time for school because he was so busy.
Yeah, but
he's one
think
of the
about-
first YouTube stars, right? Didn't
Yeah,
Yeah.
his mom put him on when he was like
Yeah.
9. But now you look at the Jodie Fosters, the Natalie Portmans of the world
That's true.
that go off to Yale
That's
and
true.
and
but
they're
that's a
like
smaller amount.
just saying
It's possible.
And they're
it
women.
happens.
Yeah.
Brooke Shields did it too.
Yeah, another woman.
Oh wait, I
I'm
see
like,
a
wait,
theme.
Well, you know,
What do people have in
is a
common?
is a
They're
lot
all women. Exactly. This is Justin
Yeah,
Bieber.
only if,
The only thing he has going for him is he's Canadian.
Okay. Well, and see, this is why we need her to come in more often, as often as you possibly can. I'm so glad you're here because
thank
we
you.
were so afraid you weren't going to make it at all.
Oh no!
right?
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry I was so sick.
Yeah.
It's that time of year. It's because you've got negative whatever here.
And you're all crammed in, breathing on each other. It's awful.
It's like living inside an airplane because it's too cold to go outside.
It is.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we have to do it after this.
Oh, do you go?
Yeah. I go back outside after this.
Oh, I thought you meant get on the plane like right away.
No. Tomorrow, I think.
Okay. So one final thing,
Yeah.
we talk about this, and it's, as Colleen likes to say, we're still figuring out the process here, but the massive wave of sexual harassment revelations that have plagued Washington D.C., Hollywood, and the rest of us in
NPR.
corporate America have lived with it our entire life.
And academia.
It really, you too, yeah.
Yeah. And just imagine what it's like for people in like the food and the service industries too, who have no money and power to have a voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Matt Damon's the latest to get bitch slapped, so to speak, by both Minnie Driver and Alyssa Milano. Do you know about this
all
one?
of Twitter. Go ahead.
Basically all of Twitter.
Yeah.
So his statement, he came out and said, that these assault claims include a spectrum of behavior, and his quote is, "None of us came here perfect." Minnie Driver just came out and just downtown bang. So just look it up on Twitter because they're kind of long. I mean, even there's a series of them. And Alyssa Milano
It's
went
just
back
him
to
mansplaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an excellent time for certain people to just be quiet.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, him.
because there's
And
no,
any person with
there's just
penises.
no matter. First of all, it's 140 or 280 characters, so you're not going to get the nuance
Yeah.
of the context
Yeah.
or tone
Right.
at all. That's
Right.
never going to happen.
Right, and why make that your platform? For
Yeah, why you're
saying
going through there? I don't understand. You just like
this? Or any platform.
just gonna
he shouldn't have said anything.
yeah. He just.
Well,
There-
and
there's no way to win here.
With
I
him,
mean, he
it's-
might have a grain of something he's attempting to
Totally,
say.
and for him, it's really. I mean, for any guy, especially, you know. But the thing of it is his mom is really educated. She has a doctorate in human development and family studies. She teaches on the West Coast in the same field that I teach in, human development and family studies.
Yeah.
Like, he comes from a really educated mom, and I'm just like, why are you saying that? If my kid grows up and says something like that, I will be so embarrassed and ashamed. I'll be like, no, don't mansplain. He should have just said, this is awful. And
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Even if I've never done anything, I'm just sorry that I'm part of the culture of men that are treating women in this harassing way. And
I'm
that
sorry,
isn't to
and
say
I'm
that
gonna
men
point it out
can't
more.
be harassed too, because of course they can, and people of all genders can, but it's especially women.
But you
I
can't
mean, we
go-
all know that. Everybody in this room has probably been harassed at least once.
And, you know, I said that before too. Is that everyone looks at it differently? You know, and I'm not going to say that my experience is the same as anybody else's out there. I've had a different one, and I'm going to look at it, you know, differently, and I'm not going to discount that. But the guys that are out there simply have to say, okay, and then you know, and just
we'll change,
and just listen. There is no. I mean, there are things I have to listen to that I don't understand when it comes to a gender and when it comes to skin
race,
color and stuff like that. So, I don't. I
Same.
get it, but I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to take a look at this.
Right.
And, you know, and the thing is, I may not get it right sometimes. I might say something stupid. And he said, but I'm pretty sure that folks like that
no one asked him for his opinion either.
Nobody asked him.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that he has to realize the bullhorn he has.
I know.
You know,
he has power.
It gets
That's
bigger.
right.
It gets, you know, I'm like,
I know. It's disappointing.
That is.
Well, maybe 2018 will be better.
Oh, it's going to be an interesting year. So, Dr. Markie, just so people can follow you and all the different places that you publish and whatever, do you have a website?
Yep, I do. It's just drmarkie.com. And then you can find me on Twitter at Dr_Markie_Twist. I'm on Instagram, and I'm also on Facebook. So people can find me everywhere.
Oh, Dr. Markie Twist. It's always such a pleasure. Happy New Year.
You too.
So this is our 301st show.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And, 300?
no.
151.
We're third year, which is where you're getting the 3.
Oh.
And we're at about, and it's like 156.
Wow.
157.
Okay. I may have to edit this.
I feel like that's a temperature setting on an oven.
Yeah, well, my oven, oh my God.
Set it for this. Wait, no, that. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's probably just tied to altitude.
Something, or lack of brain cells.
Yeah.
But come back. Please
I will,
stay part of the
absolutely.
ongoing cast.
Of
We
course.
miss you. And
I miss you.
if you want to stay in Las Vegas, okay, but
You can come out there and we'll do the show.
yes!
We'll do it at the Erotic Heritage Museum. I do Tantra workshops there, and I know the people really well. And the Adult Film Fest is happening the 24th through 26th, and I know those people. January. So let me know.
I've been. It's been years, but I've been out there when they had the old
The AVN one.
AVN,
Yeah,
but
that
it
one's
used to
huge.
be, but it used to
This
be
one's
part.
smaller.
Used to be part of the other show, and there was nothing funnier than going to the adult section, which is separate now, with your brother.
Oh, I'm
and
sure.
then be sitting there talking to movie folks, and then having your brother's eyes bug out because you turn. And I don't think this company exists anymore. It used to be called Big Top Video. You can imagine why it was called Big Top Video, because these were enormous breasts. And even I turned and went, well, that's different.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they were like 2 watermelons.
You should come out for it. It's fun.
Or something. Okay.
Come out sometime.
I'm already on Travelocity right now. Special thanks, Colleen. We'll be back next week.
Happy New Year, everyone.